Hello and welcome to this SQL for Beginners lecture series. In this video, we will see how to aggregate data. Okay, so aggregating data is creating some sort of total from a number of records. Okay, and in order to do that, we'll be using some aggregating functions and write some queries using the sum function, then minimum function, then maximum function, and count function, and average function, right? We'll see how these functions work and how to write them in order to get our desired results. Okay, then we'll also look at why and where we should be using the having statement. Before we write some query, I just want to brief you out on the having statement. You cannot filter on aggregated fields using where statement. For example, suppose you take the sum of some columns, right, and you have that and name it under a different column. So now if you want to filter that column out, okay, to get some desired results, you won't be able to do that using the where statement. For that, you'll need to use the having statement, right? Then the last thing that we'll do is getting distinct records. Okay, so this is one of the very important functions, important tasks that we need to do in SQL, where we are expected to get distinct records, okay, and without any duplicates, right? So let us get started by opening Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio and see how each of these operations and statements are written to get our desired results. So I have opened Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Now I'll open the new query console workspace where we write SQL queries. So I'll be using the diabetes database, and I'll try to execute it, and after that let's check out first the diabetes table which is in the diabetes database, right? So if I try to execute it, I'll see all this. We have pregnancies, glucose, then blood pressure, skin thickness, insulin, BMI, and another like diabetes degree function, some parameter which is probably important for this disease. Then we have age and outcome. So now we'll see how to use the group by statement. Okay, so for that I'll first of all I'll try to select pregnancies column, glucose column, and blood pressure column. Okay, or maybe just go with select. Select. I can I want the glucose column, then blood pressure column, and BMI column. Okay, from diabetes table, okay, which is here in this diabetes database. If I opened it, I can see that it is present in the diabetes database under the tables folder. So now if I try and run this, execute this, I'll get this 3 columns. And now if I want to, suppose I also want to include the outcome. Okay, so I'll also be able to see the outcome, which means with these values whether the patient was diabetic or not, right? Which where 1 means diabetic and 0 means it is the person is non-diabetic, not diabetic. Okay, now if I try to group by group by, say for example with with the outcome, that is I want the data to just have show me which values has 1, like for outcomes what is the BMI, for outcome 1 what is the BMI, and for outcome 0 what is the BMI, blood pressure and glucose levels as well, right? So what happens is if I try to run this, if I try to execute this query, I'll get an error, and that is so because like if we run this part of the query, see I have way too many ones and zeros, right? So when I asked the database to sort of group it in ones and zeros, just give me the values of BMI in ones and zeros, it is not able to do that, because for one there are a lot of values. Okay, for example, this first row has 33.5 BMI, 72 blood pressure, and 148, but again it sees that there is other values for the outcome 1 as well, so it cannot decide which to give back, right? So we'll have to first aggregate, like we'll first have to use some aggregation function and then get some value, and then we'll have to use the group by using function. Okay, group by function. For example, I'll use the average aggregation function in all of my cases. Okay, so if I use the average here, so now if I try to run it, I'll see that yeah, it has been grouped by ones and zeros. People who are non-diabetic has, okay, wait, I'll rename it. You'll have to use an alias. Okay, so it's again glucose as, for example, blood pressure as BMI. So I'll try to execute it. I'll see that, and we can also do a round figure, like a round of this values, because this looks very cluttered otherwise. So using the round function, we can round it off to some decimal places. Okay, for example, I'm using 2 decimal places here. Okay, so now if I try to run it, so I'll see, yeah, it's clear now. So people who are not diabetic, that is outcome of 0, has BMI, the average BMI of 30.3, BP of 68, and a glucose level of 109. Okay, and people who are, like, generally people who are the diabetic has an average BMI of 35.14, BP is very close to non-diabetic people, but the glucose level is clearly high. Okay, for diabetic people compared to non-diabetic people. So this gives us an insight about which parameters or factors decide whether a person will be diabetic or not. Okay, so now if I want to, again, if I run this query and see these values, so now if I want to, for example, I can so this was like the group by part, so let me just name it, and then again let me show you how to use the order by and what the function of order by is. Okay, so now if I select everything, okay, again select everything from diabetes table, and now if I order by means it will order it, it will give you a sequence. For example, suppose if I want to order it based on the age, right? So now you can see that the age is the numbers are very it is 50, 31, 32, 21. It's not consistent, right? So what we can do is we can use the order by to sort of either use an ascending order or a descending order of in which the rows are sort of sorted. Okay, so we can use age, and now if I sort of run this, I'll see that we can see that it is ordered, like the youngest people have the age of 21, and we can see that people having the age of 21 are usually non-diabetic because lots of zeros in the outcome column. We have few ones but a lot of zeros. Okay, so usually young people are seen to be non-diabetic. Okay, we can see this numbers from these numbers. But if I want to order by in from the oldest to the youngest, what I can do is I can use the DESC, which means descending keyword, and if I execute it, we'll get the oldest people first, and then we'll go towards the younger ones. Okay. Also, if I wanted to, for example, if I wanted to group it with age, okay, with the age values, for example, I want to again check the BMI. Okay, round, I'll have to use an aggregation function again to calculate BMI, round it off to 2 as BMI for example. And again, if I want to round, say for example I want to calculate the glucose levels. Come on, to the glucose is already sorted, so I didn't, like without even using the round function it was fine. So I'll go back to just using the average function as average of what, glucose. So as glucose, okay. And now if I want to, from diabetes, okay, and now if I want to group by, say for example age, we'll still get an error. Okay, I'll tell you why. We should get an error. Oh no, we don't. But see, like we're not aggregating, there is no group by using age, because the age column is not included in the select, right? So we'll also use the age because we are grouping it right with the age parameter. So now if I run it, yeah, so it should group by. Okay, see, 21, we had a lot of values before grouping, so now the number of, we just have 52 entries because it has been grouped by based on the age. Okay, or maybe we can just remove this and keep it in the ascending order, and just see that 21, the average BMI is 27.82 and the glucose level is 108. Okay, so this is how we can use the group by and order by statements. Also there is another one called using the having statement. So what happens is, if you are using aggregation functions, for example, let me just copy this. See, Control V. So if I, from diabetes, so if I use a where statement, okay, for example where age is greater than, suppose for example 30, okay, so what happens is I should get an error. Yeah, because what happens when we are using an aggregation function, we cannot use where statements. We'll have to use something called having. Okay, so having age greater than 30. So now if I try to run it, okay, it still says wait, is invalid in the having clause because it is not contained either an aggregate. Okay, so I'll have to first group by age. So now if I try to execute it, yeah, so see, I'm getting ages which are greater than 30, but if I use the where statement here, I should get an error. So let's see if that happens. Yeah, incorrect syntax near the keyword where. See, because we cannot use it when we have an aggregation function, right? So we'll have to go back to using having as the keyword to filter things out. Okay, so now if I run this, I should get the data. Okay, now another thing is, see, we had a lot of for example, if I run this query, we have a lot of values where we had repeated age, right? We had 21 in a lot of places. We have, for example, you can see we have 51, 31, 31. These are all repeated values, right? Now we'll see how to use the distinct keyword. Okay, so we can use using the distinct keyword to get distinct results. Okay, for example, now if I want to select say say for example I want, because wait, let me just first execute this. We have we have, say for example I just want the age, and I want the age, and I want the outcome, for example. Okay, sometimes it can be misleading, but I'm still showing it to you. Suppose I want this and I run this query, so I'll get outcome age 50, outcome 1, outcome 0, age 31, like that. But if I wanted to get distinct age, okay, for example I want to get distinct age, and then outcome will have, see, okay, let me first order it by age, order by age. I'll show it to you without using this distinct keyword. Okay, so if I try to execute this, I'll have a lot of see, I'll have a lot of values where I have age 21 and outcome is 0, age 21, outcome 0. So this thing is getting duplicated, right? But if I wanted to like have distinct ages where the outcomes are varying, okay, where we want to basically remove duplicates, right? Then we can use the distinct distinct keyword. And now if I run this query, you'll see that we just have two data with age 21, because the duplicated values are removed. Now there are two rows where we have 21 outcome is 0 and 21 outcome is 1. Okay, all those rows where we had age 21 with an outcome of 0, because they are all duplicates, they are removed because we have used the distinct keyword. Okay, I think this is it for this video. If you have any doubts about how to use the group by statements, the order by statements, where to use the distinct keywords, if you run onto any issues while writing your own SQL queries with your own data set, like please reach out to me in the comment section so that I can look into it. In the coming videos, I think we'll look into how to use we have already done group by join. I think we'll discuss about the case statements in the next video. So this is it for this video. Thank you. I hope to see you soon.